All right. All right. So this is day 2, week 3, and Jessica. Hi. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Fine. Just getting started. So you've missed nothing.
Awesome.
Okay. How's everything going with you?
It's going.
Good. Good. Getting anywhere with your work?
Yeah, I am actually. I can't wait until you can critique my so I can go back.
Yeah. What I want to do is I just want to clean up the web piece and just do a very minor review on the print piece, because the last thing I'm going to do is, when I get done with the web piece, I'm going to take the print piece in and I'm going to show you how to put it into the book. And then I want to talk about briefly, PDF, and I want to talk about packaging. And the reason that I want to do that is because there are some students that are still struggling with the concept of packaging and even creating PDFs, surprisingly enough. So I just want to make sure that I go over that, even though I did create the videos. Did you ever get a chance to look at those videos?
Yeah, yeah.
Did they help you at all?
Oh yeah. I enjoyed watching them. The only problem I did have is try to get it smaller.
You mean optimize it?
Yeah, optimize it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you could do that. You could probably do that in Acrobat. That's probably one way that you could do it.
Oh, okay.
You know how they got the tools in Acrobat?
Yes.
Yeah, one of those tools will enable you to go in and optimize a PDF if that's what you want to do. And sometimes when you create the PDF, there's a drop down where you can make different choices, which I'll show you when I actually get to the point where I'm doing that, if I remember to do it. All right?
All right.
All right, so let me just do this real quickly, because I left off. I finished this. Okay, this is the actual ad that I'm going to put into the 8-page magazine on the back. I left this copy out specifically because I was going to put that copy in InDesign to show you that, you know, you could actually have built this whole thing in InDesign. I mean, you wouldn't have been able to do the effects and stuff because it doesn't do that in InDesign. However, you know, you could have still put together an ad in InDesign if that's what you wanted to do. My personal feeling is, to make an ad like this, you want to go into Photoshop to do it. And I have no problem if you do that, because if you really read the assignment, it doesn't specifically demand that you do that in InDesign. You're actually putting the ad in to an InDesign production. And the ad can be something that was built in Photoshop. The only thing is, you have to have the right thing. You have to have some of the right things. So just for a review, I'm going to go to the image, and I'm going to go to image size, and I'm just going to review that the width of this piece that I have right here, and this is critical for you to understand, the width of this is 8.75. That means that it's 8.5 plus a 1/4 inch, which is 1/8 of an inch of bleed on both sides, more than we need. So you understand that, right?
Yes.
The same thing applies to the height. This is 11. It's 8.5 by 11 normally, but that's to the trim. You want to have at least 1/8 of an inch bleed top and bottom, so that would make it 11.25, 11.25, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you know why, right?
Yeah, to keep it.
So there's bleed. You can make sure that you get the image from edge to edge.
Yes.
Yeah. And then, of course, because this is print, you want the resolution to be somewhere around 300 or better. Now, it could be different depending upon if you're having a conversation with a printer and the printer tells you that you're able to do something slightly different. But if you don't have that conversation with the printer, a good starting point, a good point of reference would be a resolution of 300 pixels per inch. And the ad should be, if possible, the same size as you're going to use. Never make it smaller, because if you enlarge it, what you're doing is you're literally stretching the pixels and you're going to destroy the image. So it always at least needs to be the size or a little bit bigger. Don't make it too much bigger, because then again you're reducing it, and you want to avoid that kind of thing. So one of the real things that you do when you create images, you try to create them to about the size that you're going to use them at. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you know, again, you have to have the right resolution. All right. So you got to be careful with these things. So I'm going to get rid of this guy. All right. So the last two things that I have to do here, I'm going to look. It says Flame Print PSD, and you'll see that it is in RGB. Okay. And it's also PSD.
CMYK.
Yeah. So what I want to do is I want to change this to CMYK, and I want to change this from a PSD to a TIFF, tagged image file format. That's the kind of image that would go best into a InDesign production. So do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay, so there are other ways you could do it. You could also put it in as a PDF file, but I'm going to go and put this in as a TIFF file. And why I'm doing that is because the TIFF file gives me the ability to change it from RGB to CMYK, and at the same time it does that, it flattens the file. See, now right now this is a layered file. All of my layers are intact, and I keep this PSD intact like this in case I make an error, all right? Or if I come back in and make a change, like if they want to say something different here, or if they want to add something, okay? So it's important for you to understand these things, that, you know, you want to keep your original intact. So I'm going to make this into a TIFF. So here's the process for doing this. Just go to the File menu, and you go Save As. And I'm going to just call it Flame Print. I'm not going to get fancy with the name. It's going to be used in something else. Right now it's a Photoshop document, but if I drop this down, at the very bottom is the TIFF, tagged image file format. That's what I want right there, okay? Now notice I already got one there because I made this last night. I'm doing this over because I want to impress on everybody how important these steps are, and I want to explain them and make sure that you clearly understand this stuff, because all these production things are what I'm really here to teach you. You know what I mean? The course basically has you put together a book, but the stuff that I teach you about how to go about doing it is what makes me worth something. I mean, if I don't teach you any of this stuff, you don't learn any of it, and what's the point of the class? You see my point?
Yes.
All right, so we're clear on this. This is going to be a TIFF file, correct?
Yes.
All right, it's there. I made it last night. I'm doing it again. So I hit Save, and it asks me if I want to overwrite it, and I do, because this is now, I'm doing it over just so you could see it. It's going to end up being the same thing basically when I get done. So I hit Yes, and then this comes up, and because we're going to be submitting this to me, I've given this a image compression using zip. Okay, so you can use that. If it's going to go to a printer, you probably would use image compression none, or maybe the printer might tell you to use a particular kind of compression. Okay, so I'm just going to use zip on this, and I'm not going to change anything else on this. I'm on a PC, so I'm doing it PC. If you're on a Macintosh, it will probably say Macintosh because you're on it. You could leave that. I don't think it's going to affect me very much. It generally doesn't. All right?
Okay.
And then I'm just going to hit OK. And now include layers will increase file size. So right now, there are layers. So what it's saying is, do I understand that the layers will increase the file size? I don't care at this moment because I'm going to fix that, okay? So you just basically say, okay, and now watch what happens. Up here it says Flame Print TIFF. Got it?
Yep.
Okay, so what happened? The PDF is gone, right? It basically put the PDF back to sleep, and it now left the TIFF out. So I'm actually looking at the TIFF that I created. I still have my layers, correct?
Yep.
All right, so I am now going to change this from RGB to CMYK. I go to Image, Mode, and I change it from RGB to CMYK. What happens? Adobe Photoshop CC 2018. Changing modes can affect the appearance of layers. Flatten image before mode change. So I don't flatten, but I don't. Why would I do that? I really want to flatten. This is a great opportunity to flatten this file. Understand?
Yep.
Yep. So I just hit flatten. You're about to convert to CMYK. Don't worry about this right now. We'll use this. It's a default web-coded paper. I'm going to hit OK. And these layers go away after it, of course, processes.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to do my cover. I haven't figured that part out yet.
I'm going to do something and show you, and that'll give you some ideas maybe. But the bottom line is now take a look at your layers. We no longer have layers. We have a flattened image, right?
Yep.
And we have a CMYK document, which is a TIFF, correct?
Yep.
That's it. So that's the story. And again, why we're doing this is because this is the proper way to prepare a piece of art from Photoshop to go into InDesign. Now, as I said to you, you can also convert this thing into a PDF, but in this particular case, I prefer the use of the TIFF file. Both of them would work within that production environment, okay?
Yep.
That's it. So we're done with this. I can close it, all right? Save changes, yes, it's done. That leaves me with finishing up my Flame Web PSD. So what I want to work on now is I want to work on my Flame Web PSD. I want to get that done. So this thing is saving. There we go. All right, so after I looked at this thing, I thought about this a little bit, and there's a few things that I would like to make better on this. And the reason I want to do this is because I want to show you how a graphic designer thinks. I mean, you look at something and you say to yourself, what works and what don't work. Now, if you kind of look at this overall, I mean, it basically works. But there are some flaws. There are some defects that bother me. Like, for instance, I'll give you a perfect example. The flame. The flame basically does work, and yet it doesn't work. It's a little too close to the background. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I want to think of a way that maybe I could make that stand off of the background just a little bit more. I got this similar problem down here with this Brazilian steakhouse. It works, you can read it, but it's just a little tiny bit too close to the background. And you know, one of the things that we always talk about in these courses is the CRAP principle. And the first principle in CRAP is contrast, right?
Yes.
So what's lacking in the steakhouse and in the flame? Some sort of contrast, right?
Yes.
Okay, so what I thought when I was thinking about this, I thought of a couple of solutions for things I could do to change the contrast relationship between the background and these elements. And that's what I'm going to do. Now, the third thing is, for some odd reason that I can't explain to you, I couldn't get that drop shadow to work. So I cheated, and I created a secondary line in black, and I'm using that secondary line for a drop shadow. Right? Remember me doing that? I had, for some reason, I don't know why, that I just couldn't get a drop shadow to work on that white text. So instead of spending the entire night driving myself crazy trying to figure out what was wrong, I just duplicated the layer and I offset it slightly. The problem I'm having with this is when I look at it, it's a little bit harsh, and I don't like that. Can you see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's another thing I want to fix. So there's 3 issues right here. Before I continue and finish this thing, there are 3 issues that I want to fix. Now, how do I do that? Okay, so the first thing that I want to do with this is I want to create an outer glow on the flame. The problem I have is the flame is all the way up at the top of the stack. So that means that it's in front of everything below it. And what's going to happen is if I put a glow on that, it's going to affect everything below it. That's no good. I don't want it to affect the steak. I don't want it to affect the Brazilian steakhouse. I just want it to affect the flame copy itself and that background. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. So the easy way to fix that is take the flame layer right here, the flame title, and just drag it down in the layer stack until it is situated exactly in front of the background layer. So the only thing that that's going to impact is this guy right here and this guy here, which we don't even see yet. That's going to work into this maybe in a little bit, okay? So, you get it? So in other words, if I do something to this flame now, it isn't going to affect that, and it's not going to affect any of that, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you understand my reasoning for playing with these layers and modifying them, and this is why I'm going to the trouble of doing these things, is because I want you to understand clearly as a graphic designer, and how, as you look at things that you create, how do you manipulate those things in order to get something that you want? That's the lesson here. And that's what will happen as you become more and more sure of these programs and how they function. So now that I've moved this thing in position where I want it, watch what happens. I'm going to come down here to my effects panel, and I'm going to go outer glow. And my outer glow comes up, and can you see that my outer glow is only affecting that background?
Yeah.
Now watch this. I've got this thing set to 36. Watch when I have this thing zoomed out to 100. You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, so all the rest of this stuff is fine, and that's perfect. That's what I want. I just want it to affect the background. When I did this before, I actually found that 36 was about where I wanted to be. So I'm going to bring it back down to 36, and there it is. If I hide preview, see what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Now that flame reads a whole lot better, wouldn't you say?
Mm. Yeah.
So that fixes that issue. The next issue I have is this steakhouse, this Brazilian steakhouse. I'm not entirely happy with the way this is reading. It's sort of getting lost into the steak in the background. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to select that layer, which I wrote down as Brazilian steakhouse, so I can figure out where I'm going. That's why it's important when you do this to make sure that I'm trying to get this screen to open. There we go. It's a very good idea when you work with Photoshop, InDesign. It's always a good idea to use layers, and it's also a good idea to name layers as best you can so that you have a good idea of what it is that you're looking at when you go from layer to layer to layer. Okay, and you could even do things like group layers. Like, for instance, see the steaks, cocktails, and family dining? Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to select both of those two together, and then I'm going to click on that folder right there, and I've just made a group, and I'm going to call this subhead, S-U-B-H-E-A-D, subhead group. Yeah, subhead. Did I get a space yet? G-R-O-U-P, subhead group. So now I know that my subhead group is oh, I missed one. How did I do that? Let me see. Brazilian steakhouse. Let me bring it in there. Okay, so did I get it now? I did. Okay, so there you have it. I have a subhead group. Now, the other thing, too, is if you take a look at this, by creating that subhead group, I have a neater presentation of this. Now, I have this layer. This is an old layer that I used. I don't need this layer anymore. This is my original steak layer. Did someone else come in? No. That was just you buzzing. All right. I don't need this thing anymore. So I can actually come down here and I can delete that layer if I can make it do it. Oh, it's not showing. Maybe that's why. All right, let's try it now. Delete this layer steak. Yes. Okay, so now you see again, I just have this white background layer, which I'm going to maybe do something with. I have my flame layer. I have my type. I have my steak. I have my subhead, and I have this thing called mortise. I'm going to continue building. But can you see now how simple this is? And you can figure this out quite simply because it is very simple at this point. All right? All right, so what I'm going to do now is I am going to work on my subhead group. I got two things that I want to do in here. So I'm going to open this group up, and there are my two layers. So I have my Brazilian steakhouse right there. Okay, and so far I got a bevel and emboss, I had outer glow on this thing, and I have a drop shadow on it. Those are the three things that I've applied to this. So this has got a good bit of effects on it. I'm going to add one more, though, because it seems to me that one more effect will make this whole thing work beautifully. So what I'm going to do is make sure I have my Brazilian steakhouse layer selected. Right? This is a very important thing. Whatever layer you're going to work on, that has to be the selected layer. And again, I'm saying all this because I don't know whether everybody has the same level of skills in Photoshop. You see what I mean? I don't exactly know what your skill level is in Photoshop, and I want to make sure that whatever I'm saying will make sense to you and to anyone else for that matter. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, so forgive me if I'm over-explaining stuff. I'm trying to do that just to make sure I get everybody covered. So Brazilian steakhouse, go to the effects, and this one is going to be a stroke. and I get my stroke panel. Unfortunately, the stroke panel comes in over top of my piece of art, so I have to move it. I got you out here, so let me hide that. Let me start the, hold on here. There we go. Okay, so that's gone. That was actually for me, but the moment you came in, you bounced me off, so I didn't get to see myself, or you didn't get to see me, and so it was a kind of wasted effort. All right, so here's the deal. Right now, it looks pretty bad, doesn't it? Because it's set to white, and it's a size of 21. It's outside, which is what I want, but I want to make some changes. So the first thing I want to do is I want to stick with our theme color, which is kind of a golden yellow. So I'm going to take the slider, and I'm going to bring the slider up into the range of yellow right there, okay? So I got a nice range of yellow. Let me bring it a little bit lower. I want to make sure I get a good, strong yellow on this. I don't want it to be green yellow. That I like, okay? Mm-hmm. Right now, you see how it's totally desaturated? It's over in the white. See that little round thing? All I'm going to do is I'm going to click over here, and I'm going to place it far up in the right-hand corner, right up there. So now it becomes yellow. So it still looks like hell, but we're getting closer, okay? So I'm going to hit OK for that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this down until I go to like 1. I'm going to take it all the way down to 1. And 1 is probably okay. I think I actually ended up putting 2 on it. So let's put 2 on it.
That looks better with the 2.
Yeah, so I have 2 on it.
Change.
I'm sorry, what?
I saw the change when you put it from 1 to 2.
Yeah, well, this is where when you're doing these things, you have to be looking at what you're doing, and you have to be weighing it based on, like, I don't know whether I have the view on this thing at 100%. I'll check that in a second. But at any rate, you want the view to be as close to the size that you're going to be viewing it at as possible. You might even actually be able to come in here, and you might even be actually able to set 1.5. Let's see if we could do that. I haven't done it in a while. I think you can. No. So it won't let you have those half numbers. You have to have the singular number. That's the only thing it'll allow you to do. So I'm wrong. Okay. So that's done. That's what I wanted to do. I hit OK. And now I have that. And you can see it's much more pronounced. It looks much more like what I want it to look like. Okay? Mm-hmm. Now, that leaves me with the steaks, cocktails, and family dining. Now, I really could leave that drop shadow alone. I don't like it. That's the whole point. I really don't like it. And it isn't the way I wanted to apply that drop shadow. The only reason I applied it that way is because when something didn't work, I showed you that there are other ways to do something by going in, duplicating the layer, and just offsetting it slightly. Okay? Now, in order to make that less hard-edged, there are other ways we could do it besides making it an effect. So I'm going to select the bottom layer. Watch what happens when I click the eyeball. Can you see the back one go away?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the one I want to select because that's the one I want to apply my effect to. Now, the effect isn't in here. It's up here, and it's in the filters. And it's going to be, now, the one thing that I should tell you is if you want to put this effect on by just going to the filter and go down to blur and go to gauzy and blur and put the effect on this, it will become permanent. It means, I mean that if you do this and you shut this and you open it up, it's going to be permanent. You can't do it. You can't change it. So there's a way of making it so that it's not permanent. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the way that you do that is before you go in and you put the effect on it, you go up to the filter and you go convert for smart object, or I'm sorry, convert for smart filters. And how I do this, I click OK, and you can see at the bottom corner there's a little indicator, smart object thumbnail. That's telling you that layer right there is a smart object. Now, why did I bother doing this? I did it because I'm about to put an effect on it. And as I was saying to you a moment ago, if I didn't turn this into a smart filter, it would apply that effect. The effect would be permanent. And if I shut this thing and tried to open it and tried to adjust it, I'd literally have to throw that layer away, and I'd have to duplicate the layer, make it black, move it into position, and start from scratch. by creating a smart filter, it gives me almost the equivalent of an effect out here, which means that as a smart filter, I can go back in and I can modify the filter as much as I want. Did I explain that clearly?
Yes.
Does it make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay. Did you have any? Have you had that explained to you before?
No, I have not.
Okay.
But
It's a very important. It's a very important principle because layer effects. The reason layer effects are so good is because layer effects essentially are limitless. You can go in and I can change any one of these. Here's my layer effects. I can change any of these layer effects, or I can remove them anytime that I want, as many times as I want. When you go up into the filters, though, and there's a whole lot of filters in here. I mean, I don't use a lot of them, but there's many in here, and many I do use. They are not limitless. They are limited. If you apply them, that's it. If you close it, you open it, it's on there. It's undoable. Unless, of course, you convert your layer to a smart filter, which is what I did here. Once you do this now, this becomes editable continually. And you're going to see something happen when I do this. So I'm going to go to the filter menu. I'm going to go down to my blur, and I'm going to go to Gaussian blur. And you can see I already have a Gaussian blur on there. I think it probably is a little bit too big. So let me bring it back into about, let's try making maybe 3/6, something like that. There we go. Okay, so you see that?
Yes.
Now, in my opinion, that looks a whole lot better. Watch when I preview this thing. That, what I did, looks a whole lot better than that right there. What do you think?
Yes.
Okay, and I can even, if I want, I can even make this thing a little bit less. I can come in here and make it like maybe, there we go. That's actually even better. See what I'm saying? So this is the kind of thing that you just go in and you tweak until you get it the way you want it, hit OK. Now, look at this. Here's what I wanted to show you. A second ago, this wasn't here. There's my smart filter, and there's my Gaussian blur, which means I can hide this. And you see it comes back to being the way it looked before I applied the smart filter. Okay?
Yeah.
And I can bring it back, click on it to bring it back, and now the filter's there. Which means if I want, I can come back in here and I can open this up. I can come in here and I can modify this. If I didn't do that, okay, if I didn't do that and I applied the filter to a object that has not been converted for smart filters, that would apply directly to that layer. This would not appear right here, and this would not be editable. I would never be able to edit this. So these are a couple of things that I thought were important for you guys to understand about working with Photoshop, doing the kind of work that I'm doing here. Okay? Any questions?
No, not so far.
All right. Now, let me go to the file menu. Let me see if I have open. Hold on. Give me 1 second here. Let's go to week 3. Let's go to food, I think. Let's see, is it in here? Flame web. There's the flame web. Okay, so there's the finished flame web. Okay, there's the finished flame web. So the reason I'm bringing the finished flame web up is so that we could take a look at the finished flame web and we could get a sense of where we're going with this. Okay, so it looks to me like my background is slightly different in this case, but you know what? Again, it doesn't matter. I'm just trying to give you an idea. I could even take that black background or that background, and I could even move that background down until I get something which is closer to the other by just bringing it down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is good enough, I think, for our purpose. So you get the idea. All right, but the reason I'm bringing this up is because I still have to place these things. I still have to place this. I have to place this, and I have to build this across the bottom. And then I have my finished ad. Now, again, keep in mind that this is a web ad. And web ads, we could conceivably set up likes and tweets and shares on this thing. So that's why I put them on there. And then, of course, I wanted to show that, you know, the Brazilian Steakhouse takes the MasterCard, Visa, American Express, and what the other one there, Discover card. And then, of course, the other stuff at the bottom. So let's go back in and let's finish this thing up. So the first thing is I have this layer up here. I call it mortise. All right. It's pretty stupid word for it, but it'll do. I'm going to simply make sure I'm on that layer, and I'm the layer showing, on that layer mortise and that layer showing. I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to drag myself a piece across the bottom, something like that. And I'm going to, right now I have a foreground color set to white and a background set to black. What I want is I want black in the foreground. So if I swap those colors by using that little icon right there, I get black up front. You knew that?
Yeah.
And then I just come over here at my paint bucket tool and I dump the black across the bottom, and I can come up here and go select, deselect. And I think my mortise is probably a little bit too high. So what I'll do is I'll just use the down arrow key to bring it down to where I want it, which would be somewhere around there, I think. Let me quickly refer back to this. Yeah, I think I'm pretty close, right? Probably a little higher. That's good right there. Okay, so now I have my stake, and my stake could probably move up a little bit. So I'm going to take the stake. And again, this is the kind of thing you do. You fine-tune these things as you go along, you see? Now, there's my stake. That's the way I want this to look. And it becomes very similar to what we created for the page. Now, the other thing that I notice about this is, for some reason, I did this black thing here. I don't know. I think it just helps visually to give that background a little bit more depth. So how did I do that? Let's go back to my Flame Web, the one that I'm working on, and I'll show you. I went down to the very bottom of my layer. I have this layer 0, and I'm going to call this black background. Black background. Now I have the black background selected. I have my foreground color set to black, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have my paint bucket tool, right?
Yep.
With that layer selected, I'm just going to come on anywhere on my screen, and I'm going to click with that. And now do you see what happened?
Yep.
Because the layer was selected. This is another very important thing, is that you understand if you have your layers correctly selected, you could do something, and the only place you're going to see it is in the layer. But you're going to be able to tell it's done because that thing was white a second ago, and you saw it change to black. Okay?
Yes.
All right, and that's what I intended to do. So now what I want to do is I want to add a mask to this. And the reason I want to add a mask is because what I want to do is I want to apply that black background in just a small area right through here. Okay, now the stake is in front of this. Okay, so these all don't get impacted except visually. This is the one that gets most directly impacted because this one here, and actually I believe I put the whatchamacallit on the wrong layer. I put the mask on the wrong layer. So you can drag that layer right up to change the mask onto the right layer. That's the layer the mask should be on. I made a mistake. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I just literally dragged it up, and now it's on the right layer. All right, so what I want to do is I want to get my gradient tool, okay? And I have black and white selected. Now up here I have two black and whites, but you can see they're pretty much the same. So I just want to make sure I have the black and white selected. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come somewhere in this neighborhood right about here, and I'm going to click hold the shift key down, and I'm just going to drag up maybe about a ½ an inch or so. And oops, oh, you know what? Control Z. I know what the problem is. I don't have the right. I have to select my layer mask. That layer was selected. You see how the layer mask is selected? Look. You see how that picture's selected?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now the layer mask selected. I had this thing selected. That's why I applied it down there and did what it did. That's what you need selected. Okay. So again, with my gradient, my black and white gradient and my gradient tool, I'm going to come over here, I guess somewhere in this neighborhood here, hold down the shift key, and I'm just going to drag this thing straight up. Would you say that's about maybe 5/8 of an inch, something like that maybe?
Yeah.
And I don't even know whether this is right. I'm just going to give it a shot and see. And there, that's it. It might be a little bit lower than I want it to be. So what I'll do is I'll come up a little tiny bit higher, hold down the shift key, and I'll drag it up about 5/8 of an inch. And there, I moved it up a little bit. Now, if you take a look at this, okay, see it's very similar to what I got there?
Yes.
Now, what the heck is that? It's atmosphere. It's reflection. You see what I mean? It's just something to make the whole thing look a little bit more exciting. You understand?
Yes.
Yeah, it's nothing other than just one more element to help things pop a little bit more. That little bit of darkness there just makes a very cool look, in my opinion. That's why it's there. If I want that to be bigger, if I really want to make that bigger, then all I have to do is come a little bit lower and hold the shift key down and just drag it up to about there again. And, well, actually, I have to make it probably a little bit higher to do that. Let's go a little bit higher. There we go. So now I've got something that looks like that. And that gives a really nice sense of reflection. It's almost like it's reflecting off a glass or something. It's just, in my opinion, a very cool look to add to this, to give it a little bit more oomph. That's what it's all about. All right, so what am I left with? I'm left with that and this stuff right here. And this stuff is all very easy. This is just a little bit of typesetting. That's all it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to mine. And I'm going to, this will now put me up to my, I'll go up to my mortise layer. And I think I'm going to create, let me see my type tool. Go to my type tool and let me click right here. And I got a layer. Very good. Now, I don't want Bernard for this. What I want is, I want my Conera, C-O-N-E-R-I-A, Conera Script Slanted Demo Regular. Got it?
Mm-hmm.
Click on that. And I don't want it to be 24. I don't remember exactly the size. I'm going to guess it was around 18 point. No, it's too big still. I think it was probably around, let's try 14 point. Okay. And I want this to be a bright yellow color. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to once again move this slider up to where my bright yellow is, in that neighborhood right there. And then I'm going to move the position of it up into that area right there and hit OK. And I'm going to type, I think it was Carnivore, C-O-N-I-V-O-R-E, Carnivore Paradise, P-A-R-A-D-I-S-E. And again, I don't know whether I spelt this right or not. Ultimately, I will spell check it in a minute. Move this thing over because it's way out of the way and it's way too big. So by double clicking on that icon right there, that's my little icon, I can select this, and what I can do is I can bring this thing down in size. Let's try 11 point. Let's try 10 point. And I think this 10 point will probably be okay. Yeah. And then I'm just going to move it over until it's pretty much in center alignment with that, and move it down somewhat. I might even actually move this over a little bit more because I believe I need some space over here for what I'm putting, which is called the 1-800 number. And then I'm going to add www.flame.com and drop these two graphics in, and then this whole thing will be complete. And then I can save that as the JPEG so that you can submit it. All right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's go in and let's do this. Let's get our type tool again. Where are you? Right there. And let's click. And we now have another layer. And we're going to write this call, C-A-L-L. And I don't know, I don't remember the number, so I'm just going to put 908-912-4536. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's just, and I'm going to change this. In this case here, what I used was Myriad Pro. Okay, I used Myriad Pro, and I started off with bold. Okay, with bold, I believe. Yeah, and then what I did with this was I moved this over. Let me move it over first. Let me get it over there. All right, and the size is too big, so let me get the size. Let me get it under control. Let's go down to like maybe 8 point. That's probably pretty good. Move it over like that. Move it over to the right some. I actually got to get my move tool. There we go. Move it over to the right some, like that, and bring it down a little bit so that it visually lines up with the Carnivore's Paradise a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this again, and I'm just going to focus on the call. And what I'm going to do with the call is, I believe it's not bold. I believe it's regular. And it might even be regular italic. I don't remember for sure, but we'll find out. There, I think that's it. Or it's either that or it's medium italic. But let me see it. Let me see. So yeah, so it's not, it's, I guess that's medium italics. Let me go back in and let me fix that. I keep forgetting, got to select that to do it. Okay, and I'm going to put a colon in there, and then I'm going to select this guy, make it a little bit smaller. Let's go down to make it maybe 6 point. Let's make it 7. We can't get 7 that way. I have to put the number in. Hold on, 7. Whoops. Yeah, 7. There we go. There, that should do it. Okay, so there's my text for that. That's done. Now I got to add one more line of text here, which is www.flame.com. All right. So we'll go back to this. Any problems with any of this so far? Any question? No. So again, get my type tool and just click, and it's www.flame.com, flame.com. And then I'm going to move it over into position, something like this. I spelt it wrong. I'll have to fix that. That's probably good right about there. Make it low.
I noticed that.
Yeah, I'll fix it. FL. I do this all the time. I'm not really good at typing. flaflame.com. All right. And I don't remember what I made it. Was it white? What was it? It was black. Okay, so let me make it black. I don't know. Black might not work now because I have it lower. I would
do white.
Yeah, I could do that. Leave it yellow or leave it white. Let's see what white looks like. I don't have a problem with white. Let's see if that works there. Try it, you know. There we go. Okay, so yeah, I can go with white. That's okay. That's all right. Move it down a little bit and visually center it. So what does that leave me with? That leaves me with my my credit card. Now, let me explain the credit card deal real quickly, because basically what I did was I went in and I went online. We go to week 3, and let me go to my symbols. Okay, so I went in and I looked for credit card logos, and I found this one, which is a 4 group of standard credit cards that are used. Now, they tell you to be careful to work with graphics that you can legally use. Believe it or not, you can legally use those. Those are actually made to be used. So you can go online and you can look up credit card logos, and if you find that, you could download it and you could use it because they're legal to use. Now, as far as these symbols are concerned, the social symbols, I got that off of my friend's website. I went to my friend's website, and he actually had these. I'll show you what they look like in Adobe Illustrator real quickly. I'm not going to demonstrate how I did this, but I'll give you a quick idea how I did it, if I can get this thing to open now. Here we go. Okay. So this is, oops, this is what I did a screen capture of from my friend's website. And this is what I did. I used Adobe Illustrator to produce this. Okay. And how I got the tweet and how I got that hand was I just went online, and this is another graphic that you can pick up online and use because, again, the tweet, they want you to set up tweets. They want you to do it. So they don't mind if you use this. And all I did for this, if you're familiar with Adobe Illustrator, I traced it. I brought the logo in and I traced it. Do you know how to do that? Have you ever done that?
Yes.
All right, so you know how to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I traced it, and then I just made these little icons based on what I see there. That's how I did it. All right, so I'm not going to go into a big detailed discussion on it because we're way outside the scope of what we want to do. But I wanted to give you an idea how I approached it. All right, so I got 2 more things to do here. I'm going to go File, and I'm going to go Place, Embedded, and I'm going to go up to week 3 to my symbols. And let's bring in my credit card first. I'm going to hit Place. Credit card comes in, and you can see it's nice and big, you know? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold down the Shift key and the Alt key, and I'm going to bring it down until I get it to a nice small size, that's all I need. I only need it to be, hit Place, I only need it to be there so that you can see it. See what I mean? That's more than good enough to show. I got to see, I get you see my alignment tools wanting to help me line that thing?
Yes.
All right, I'm having trouble with it though because my mouse is sticky in it. There we go, I got it. Okay, so now that's all done. Last thing I got to do is File, Place, Embedded, and I'm going to put in my social symbols right here, which is basically an EPS file, or I'm sorry, I think it's a, well, I don't remember what it is now. There it is, though. There it is. It's nice, and it's way too big. So I'm going to, again, take the Shift key and the Alt key, and I'm just going to make this thing smaller until it goes down to about that size. And then I'm just going to move it up into that area right there and place it. And there you have it. There's my finished ad. What do you think?
I like it.
So what I'm saying to you is that from the standpoint of being a creative designer, the first thing that you have to understand with this thing that I'm working on, it doesn't exist. There's no Flame Brazilian Steakhouse. This is all just made up stuff. And how did I do this? I basically went online and I looked up steakhouse advertising, and I looked at their steakhouse advertising, and I kind of got an idea of what they were doing. And then I started thinking to myself, well, how can I make one that's 10 times better? And just from what I know how to do, I tried to make something 10 times better. And that's what I did. And I also kept in mind the fact that you're creating something for print and you're creating something for the web. They have to coordinate. In the end, they have to be recognizable with each other. So when somebody goes online after looking at a magazine and sees this ad, they're going to immediately recognize it as being from the same place. The same thing turned around. If somebody looks online and sees this ad and then picks up a magazine and sees an ad for them in the magazine, they have to connect. So that's the important thing. Done? Do you have any questions?
No.
Anything at all? Any thoughts? Anything?
No, not really.
All right. Here's the final thing. What we're going to do, I'm going to start off by saving this. File, save. All right. Now, I've already got this thing sized properly. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come down and I'm going to go to export. And then I'm going to go to export as, or actually, I'm going to go to save for web legacy. All right. And here's my save for web legacy. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this up to 2-up. So now what I'm looking at is the original, and I'm looking at a GIF of it. I don't want the GIF. I think what I want is a JPEG. There's a JPEG. So now I have a JPEG of this, and that's the original. Now, this thing here is 1.9 megabytes. This is 201 kilobytes. If I drag this around, you can see them move around and you get a sense of what they look like. I've got this set the quality as high and quality 60. I'm going to take the quality down to 50. And it's now 148K and it still looks pretty darn good. What do you think? Looks
Yes.
good to you?
Yeah, I think it looks good.
All right, so now did anybody ever talk to you about this and what you're doing here?
No.
Okay, so what you're doing essentially is you're optimizing this. What you're doing is you're creating a JPEG that's as small as possible while at the same time keeping the detail good. So what I did was I brought this down to 48K, and that to me is good enough because most everybody now is working with high-speed internet anyway. So the bottom line is that I wouldn't have to bring it down any smaller than that. That's what I would do. And you can bring this thing all the way down to 5, but what happens is you start throwing away information, and this whole thing begins to break up. It begins to look muddy. It begins to look blocky. It begins to look really terrible. Matter of fact, I'll show you. Click on this guy and drag it all the way down to like 10. 13 is good. Take a look at it. You see how it's beginning to look shabby?
Yeah.
In comparison to the other? I mean, it still looks okay, but can you see it's starting to muddy up in there?
Yeah.
And it is 67K, but you don't need it to be that small. So, I mean, 50 is like fine. So I bring it back to like 50. Bring it back to like 50, 51 is fine. And then hit save. And I'm going to save this in my desktop. And I'm going to go into my, where are we at here? Where am I? This is not my desktop. Where are we? PC, desktop. Oh, here we go. DES-243, week 3, and Wednesday's work. Okay. Flame, web, HTML. This is HTML and images. Wait a minute. That's not what I want. I want to set it to image only. JPEG, Flame, web, JPEG. See it?
Yep.
And then hit save. And now, just quickly, what we're going to do is one more thing. I can actually get rid of this for a second. Let me bring this out. This is the last thing, and then we go into critiques. So let me just get this out for a second. This will take a second. Let me open this up. So what do we have here? In week 3, I have Wednesday's work, which today is Tuesday. I'm going to fix that first of all. Let's just fix it because it's ridiculous. Can't even believe I did this. Come on, you.
Well, I thought Monday was Sunday, so.
So here's what we're going to be working on in a minute. Let me just go to week 3. Excuse me. Oh, wow. Tuesday, if I can fix this thing real quickly. There we go. TUES. Maybe it might not let me because I'm working in it. Yeah, see, okay, so don't worry about it. Hit cancel. All right, let me open this up. And in here is my JPEG file and my TIFF file. Okay? I'm not going to open the TIFF file because the TIFF file I'm going to open up in InDesign. I'm going to show you how to place it, how to put it, and make it right. But I am going to double-click on the Flame Web because it's a JPEG file, and I'm going to open it up in Picture Viewer, and there you have it. You know, there's your ad. Okay, it's probably larger than it's you know what I mean. It's blown up. If you if you made it the right size. I want to zoom it out. I don't know. Let's see if I can zoom this thing out. I can't really do it. Well, anyway, if you got this thing the right size, it looks a lot better. I think this has been enlarged. That's why it looks a little bit crappy like that. But anyway, there's your JPEG. That's what you're going to be submitting for your assessment. Any questions about that?
Nope.
All right. Is it clear how I did it?
Yes.
Yeah. You don't have any problems with it at all?
No.
If you have any, now's the time. So that's why I'm, making sure that everything I did is copacetic with you and it makes sense so you're not lost.
Oh, no, it makes sense. And I always rewatch the videos, too, when I'm working with stuff. All
right, this is our last little bit. This is what I'm going to do is I am going to do 2 things. I am going to, and I know I made the video. I got an error in here somewhere. I'm going to ignore that for now. Don't worry about that. I fixed the error at the end. I'm going to go to the view menu first. I'm going to change the screen mode back to normal so we can see everything. Okay? Come on. Mm-hmm. There we go. So there's everything. My bleed, my columns, my margins, the whole 9 yards, right? Yep. I'm going to go to before I do that, notice that I have spreads here, right?
Yep.
That is what's known as a fold, okay? And what happens here is that the page literally folds in half, and those 2 pages get folded and bound into the book. There's your bleed. So everything that is going to go off the edge must go to that line right there, and for some reason, that is not showing to that line. So I'd have to take that box and I'd have to open that box up to that line right there if I can get it to work. Okay? I guess the picture isn't big enough. So, well, don't worry about that. At any rate, it has to go there. Here, you can see it over here. It's doing it. The important thing I wanted to point out to you is that if I was going to have an ad on this page right here, what I would do is I would bring that ad to that fold line right there. I would bring it to that bleed line right there. I would bring it to that bleed line right there. And I would bring it to the bleed line at the bottom. Do you know why?
No.
Okay. The reason I would do that is because the ad would not be bleeding onto this page. The ad would cut off at the fold.
Oh, okay.
So let me go to my last page. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put an ad on the last page right there. Now, notice that my ad, let me go view, fit page in window. This is page 8. So in theory, this is the outside back cover. Do you understand that?
Yep.
Okay. So that means that in reality, the front cover would be right here. And it would be folded like a spread, but they have it broken up at the front, and this is at the back. Look at the way it lays out. There's page 1, okay, and there's page 8. So actually, this here is the front. This is the back. So this guy here, this page here would actually be over here. Understand?
Yep.
That would be the front. That would be the back. So in order for me to place this ad correctly, I don't want to go to that bleed. I want to go to that fold line right there, because that is where that actual image ends. And that is where, if this were laid out next to this, this area, which would be in the bleed area right now, would be part of the front page. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Good. So here's what I would do. I would come in here and I would go to my bleed up here and I would click and I'd drag a frame all the way down to the bottom, and then I'd come all the way across the front, and instead of going to my bleed here, I'm going to go and stop it right there at the fold. Okay? So I've stopped it at the fold short of my bleed, because it in reality is not going to bleed. I also made it a little too short here. I have to make it a little bit deeper. There we go. So it goes to that bleed, it goes to that bleed, goes to that bleed down there, it goes to the fold there. Why? Because it's the back page. And you see that little line right there?
Yep.
That's actually indicating a fold. Look at right there. It's there too, a fold. It's there too, a fold and a fold. Okay?
Yep.
Any questions at all about this?
No.
All right, so now what I have is I have the frame set up, and that is what I'm going to put my image in. So I'm going to go File, Place. Where are we at here? Place. And I am going to go to my week 3. I'm going to go to my, I think it's in my Wednesday work, and this is my TIFF file, Flame Print TIFF. Hit Open, and it comes in. And you see, because I had it sized properly, can you see that it essentially fit perfectly in there?
Yes.
There you go. Now, you'll notice that it doesn't look particularly good. That's only because if you go to the View menu, you have the display performance set to typical display. If you want to see what this looks like in quality view, you go to High Quality Display, and you see how that cleans up and it looks like what it's supposed to look like.
Yes.
Okay, so I got one last thing that I want to do here, and the only reason I'm doing this is because I wanted you to see me do this so that you understand that you could actually do things like this. So I don't exactly remember what goes here. I think it's a phone number and a website. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to create a frame. First of all, let me go to my Layers panel. All right, let me go to my Layers panel. That's on the background layer, which is good. That's where I want it to be. So I have this on the right layer. I'm going to lock that layer. I'm going to lock the images layer, and I'm going to leave the text layer open. See, and again, I make a point of saying to you that these layers are important for you because they really do help you organize. I mean, this is only an 8-page book. I think you were observing last night that if you're working on maybe a 60 or 70-page book, how much work would that be?
It would be a lot of hours.
Right. So you would want to make sure that every opportunity that you have to organize stuff to make it easy on yourself. So really, layers will help doing that and help you in doing that. So that's why it's important to do that. I'm going to leave the text layer open. I'm going to drag a text frame. I got to get on it first. I'm going to drag a text frame about like this. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to type a phone number. I'm just going to type in any old number, 1-908-987-3425. Now I've got my phone number, and I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to type www.flame.com. So I select this text. And I'm going to come up here. Right now they're set as wingdings. I'm going to come in. I'm going to set them as Gothic. I'm going to align them to the center. Center align these things. And I am going to go from 12 point. I'm going to start off by bringing it up to 36 point. And I've got it oversetting, but that I can fix. Let me open this up a little bit. Oh, actually, you know what? I forgot one very important thing. Control A, there we go. I want to make that text, start out by making it white so we can at least see it. There it is. And that's way too big. So let's go down to like maybe 18. There we go. We're in closer now. Let's go 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. I think that's probably good right there. All right, let's go to 20. Let's go to 22. That's good. Now this, I want this to be in bold. Okay. And this, I want to be in italic, medium italic, and I want that to be 18 point. Okay, and then I'm just going to walk this down a little bit until I hit right about there. And I'm going to try to visually center this. Actually, what I can do is to make this thing appear center, I can just click and drag that over to that edge right there. And I can click and I can drag that edge right over to the edge right there. That copy now sits center in there. Go to the View menu real quickly, and let's go Screen Mode Preview. And that is what that's going to look like. And you can see there's plenty of space away from the margin here and plenty of space away from the margin right there. And there's your phone number and there's your website. Okay?
Yep.
One thing left to do, and that is I'm going to go File, Place. Where are we at here? Oh. File, Place. And I'm going to go to week 3 again. I'm going to go to Symbols. And I'm going to grab my credit card information, hit open, credit card information place. It comes in huge. I'm going to take this thing and I'm going to hold Shift Alt and I'm going to start bringing it down in size. It's huge. I had no idea it was that big. All right, so this thing's got to come down big time. All right, so let me just torture my way around and get it down. Jesus. No idea that this was that big. Almost there. We're getting close. There we go. All right, we're getting there. Let's bring it down to about, let's see, still huge. Hold on, getting there. Bring that thing down to about like this. I think that should do. Maybe it's too big still. Bring it down a little bit smaller. Like maybe that. That's probably pretty good. Okay, now I go to the Object menu, and I go Fitting, Fit Content Proportionately. And there you have it. And of course, the thing's backwards, okay? So I'm not exactly sure how that ended up happening, but all I do is really to get that, I just flip it around. And no, I don't actually. I got to go Edit, let's see, Object, let's see, Flip, Object Transform, Flip Horizontally. Oh, nope, Edit. Okay, let's go Object Transform, Flip Vertically. And now, Object, Transform, Flip Horizontally. There we go. And then I just bring it over to about here. And let's go View, Fit Page and Window. That right there is your back page ad. Now, if I wanted to, one final thing, and that is I can come in here, and I can select this object right there, and I can go to the Object menu, and I can go to Effects, and I can go Drop Shadow. And I can apply a little drop shadow to it. And I'm not seeing the drop shadow come out. I don't know why. I don't see it happening. Why am I not seeing my drop shadow? This is such a big screen, and I can't make it any smaller. See here, I run into the same problem again. I don't know why, but for some reason now this just doesn't want to apply to drop shadow. Well, anyway, you can apply to drop shadow. For some reason, it just don't want to do it. So I'm not going to kill myself with it. But that's how you would put a drop shadow on the thing. Go to the View menu, Fit Page and Window. Okay, so now, this is the assignment for the week, this page right here. So what you want to do is you want to submit this to me as a PDF, correct?
Yes.
All right. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to the File menu, and you're going to go Export. And you're going to, I'm going to put this on my desktop, okay? And, yeah, call this, that is Submission -PG-8. Submission PG-8. And it's just going to go on my desktop. I will find it. Hit Save. And we get this. Here's where it's important. What you want to do here is, oh, and you were asking me about how to set the quality or the size of the file?
Yes.
All right, here's where you do it right now. Click on this. You have high quality print. You got these PDFs. You got the press quality, smallest file size, Adobe PDF preset, Adobe PDF preset, build to the printer, and Carino. These are custom ones that I made right there. The ones that you would use is press quality, smallest file, and high quality printing. More than likely, you want to go with high quality printing. The difference between press quality and high quality printing, press quality is the highest quality. That's what you would give to a printer if the printer was going to offset print this. You know,
Okay.
using a large offset machine, 4-color process environment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, high quality print is what you would be using if you were going to, say, go to a Staples or a Kinko's. Do you know what they are?
Yes.
So if you went to Kinko's or Staples, you would go and you would bring them that file. And the smallest file size gives you a pretty ugly version, but the smallest file size is the smallest file size. It's something more along the lines of viewing it on a monitor on your desktop. So if you really want to make it small, you can come in and set it for smallest file size. Usually high quality print will be okay. And remember, you're not sending me this whole piece. You're only sending me page 8. That's all you have to do this week. That's why I'm doing this, to show you that you only have to send me page 8. Okay? So I'm just going to stay with high quality print. Did you want to ask me something?
No. I'm good now.
All right. So here's all you're going to do. When you're in the page here, you have a choice. You can click all of them, or you can click a range of them, and you can hit pages or spreads. Well, you're only sending page 8, and it is a single page, so you're going to leave that set to page. And this, all you're going to do is you're going to come in here and you're going to type 8. Okay? Now, this should work. If you do this, you should get page 8 as a page, as a PDF. That's what you send me. Any questions? Can you handle it?
I can handle that.
And you know, clear, right?
Yep.
You don't have to worry about any of this stuff yet, because right now all you're doing is you're submitting something which is essentially a proof. So this is all you need. High quality print, or if you want, you could go smallest file size. Either way, if I see something that's kind of messy looking, I'll know it's smallest file size, but high quality print should do it. Page 8 and pages. I'm going to hit export. This should work. Give it a second. See right here, it's saving. I think that's telling me it's saving.
Yep.
There you go. See, it's saving, and once it goes away, there it is. Now I should be able to go to my desktop. Actually, it looks like it's getting ready to open it. There it is. It opened. So you see how it worked? I'm going to view that. There it is. There's my page 8. There's my submission. There it is. That's what you send me. Are you on it?
Yep, I'm on it.
All right, there you go. So that's done. I'm going to get rid of this because we're done with it. I'm going to save changes, save it yes for now. I'm going to get rid of this. I don't need this anymore. And this I'm going to leave open because we're going to do something with it. All right, so now let's do this. One more thing, and then we can start working on our reviews. And I'll do yours first. We got 12:07, so we got nearly an hour. I should be able to get through a number of them. I'm doing this because I want you guys to understand. So here is my pages now. If you take a look at my layout here, these are the only thing that's left. If you look carefully, the only thing that's left is next week, which is the front cover, and that right there, which is the index. So we have to do next week this and this. The rest of this is all done.
Yes.
Okay. I do have one error here. I'm not exactly sure what that error is. Pre-flight panel. Let's see if it tells me what the panel is. Links. A missing link. Brother, new strip steak. Okay, so there's an image missing. I'm not going to worry about that. I don't really care. This is what I would do ultimately is go in and I would just relink to that picture. But again, this is no big deal because right now all I'm doing is walking you through the steps, okay?
Yep.
Packaging. All right, first of all, before I do the packaging, I just want to say this. Some of you guys, and I'm not necessarily saying you, Jessica, some of you guys in the class have been having trouble dealing with submissions to me as PDFs. I've been getting a lot of InDesign documents that are not packaged. You need to understand this. You should never send PDFs to anybody, even to an instructor. You shouldn't do it. It's very unprofessional. It's incorrect. And in all honesty, I would not be doing you a good service if I accept them and graded them. And even if you did submit them and graded them, the majority of them would fail because the elements that link to them won't show. Now, we did an assessment last week, which was a very simple layout, and none of those elements I had any trouble opening. They were all very default kind of elements, but it's the principle of the thing. I want you guys to understand, you don't submit to anybody raw PDF files unless they've been packaged, okay? Now, have you, Jessica, had anybody explain the packaging process to you before?
Yeah, in one of my other classes.
Okay, do you know why you're packaging it?
Yeah, it's to compress it, to make it a smaller size, and then send it because it's easier for you guys to read.
No. What you're actually doing is you're collecting the data for the piece. When I say data, in this case, what you're doing is you're collecting all the pictures into a folder. See, all this stuff is linked. And on my computer, if I were to send you this InDesign file without packaging it, and you tried to open it, it would look for those links that exist on my computer, and it would be on your computer, and they wouldn't exist. So you'd have a bunch of error messages coming up because your fonts wouldn't necessarily be the same, and because your images wouldn't be locatable. What I do when I start working on these, reviews that I'm about to do, you're going to see a little bit of this take place. But I'm trying to explain to you that the bottom line is there's a real reason for doing it. You're collecting all this into a packaged file that will enable somebody on another computer to open the piece properly and display it. That's why you're really doing it. The PDF does that job for you. A PDF basically embeds all of the pictures and all of the fonts that are being used into your document. It embeds all of them into the PDF, so you don't have to package anything. You just create a proper PDF to the right size and scope that you need it to be produced at, and you submit that. If they can handle that, then their production gets done with that PDF. Okay?
Okay.
That's the whole point of it. So let me just very quickly do this. Let me go to the File menu, and let me go Package. All right, so File, Package. Now, this is the only thing I want you to look for. This is the kind of thing that you want to look for, okay? That's essentially an error. There's an error that's happening here, and I can show you what the error is. We just talked about it. Yes. There's actually two. 15 links were found, so there's 15 images. None of them are modified. One's missing, so one of my links have been broken. Now, this is the same thing that would happen if I were to do this on my computer and you didn't package it. I'd have all kinds of links missing because basically they wouldn't know where to find them on my computer. Now, the other thing is, see, I got 4 images that use RGB color space. I deliberately left those 4 colors, those 4 images RGB, because I wanted you to see how this program, when you package it, will tell you that you made a mistake like that. And you can now go in and fix that because you know 4 of your images are in the wrong color mode, right?
I had one that went from, I don't know what happened, but I had CMYK and it changed it to RBG. You
probably selected the wrong one. That's probably what it is. You probably went in and you probably accidentally selected the wrong one. You probably had an RGB and a CMYK, and you probably accidentally selected the CMYK instead of the RGB.
Oh, okay.
Right. So I'm not going to go into great detail with this here because we're going to get back to this next week, and I want to get into critique, but I wanted to just give you a little bit of an idea. And you also have things that you can come in here and check, but I generally just use the summary. All the stuff that you see here tells you right there. The most important thing is it's telling you 10 fonts are used, none of them are missing, none of them are embedded, none are incomplete, and none of them are protected. If anything was wrong up here, you'd see one of these sitting there, and it would tell you what's wrong. Like this is sitting here, and it's telling you got a missing image and 4 use RGB space. It does a very good job of telling you what's wrong. You just have to know what to look for. You look for that. If that's wrong, then you have to look in here and see what it's telling you. One's missing, 4 use RGB. Okay? None are embedded, none are inaccessible, none are modified. If you see 0 on anything, then you know it's all good. The moment you see something like 1's missing, up, you know something's missing. 4 use RGB, up, they're not right. See what I'm saying?
Yep.
Okay, there's no warning here, there's no warning here, no warning there, so you're good to go. I'm just going to ignore this for the time being because this is just an example. This would be fixed. This I would go in and I would fix. And actually, after I package it, I can still go in and I can still fix this. It's still fixable, okay? So I'm going to package this. And then what it does now is it saves the publication. What that means is it's going to save this publication into the packaged file that it's about to make. So you save that. Now it's processing it. You get these printing instructions. I'm going to go over this again on next week. And this is also in the video. Did you see the video? I did this in the video?
Yes.
Yeah, so basically you just name your file. You put your contact information, which includes a phone number, email. And if you want, there's some instruction, some special thing you want to make sure the printer knows. You put it there. You hit continue. Then you have your folder, which is going to be called 3-column, 3-bill folder. Where are you going to put it? Well, you know what? I'm going to put it on the desktop because that's where I put my JPEG image right there. And I'm going to hit package. And this just tells you that there's font software required to comply to law, blah, 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 blah. You just hit OK. You don't worry about that. It's packaging it. Takes a couple of minutes to do that. I don't know why, but maybe it's because it's eight pages and there's a lot of copy and images. That's probably why it takes a little bit longer.
Yes.
There we go. So that's it. That's done. And then if I go to my desktop real quickly, save it. No. Get this out of here. Go to my desktop real quick. Oh boy, I got this thing closing. Jeez, these programs take so long to close. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. And
then they just sit there kind of frozen. See, it's not responding. So now I just got to sit here and wait for this to stop. Oh, there we go. Come on, just close, will you? Give me a break. You see, it's even halfway closed. Come on. Oh, you're murdering me. Oh, lovely. Take a bathroom break.
Okay.
Look at this thing. What's your freaking clothes? There we go. All right. All right, now, so where are we at? Okay, here it is. There's your package. Okay? And why this is important is because remember when it said it's going to save the file? Are you there? Or did you take a bathroom break? I guess you did. So anyway, here it is. This is the package file. And what you got in here is you got the document fonts that were used. These were the document fonts that were used. And these are the links. These are your image links. They're all in here. They're all the images that we worked on. One of them appears to be missing. I'd have to go in and I'd have to find it and put it in here. And then I'd have to go through these and see how this is CMYK, 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 CMYK. Well, this one, some of these are not CMYK. So I would ultimately have to go in and find out which ones are used and which ones are RGB, and I'd have to convert them to RGB in Photoshop. Really simple to do. But that's your package. And then, of course, don't send. And then I also have somewhere here, there's my submission. So here it is. This is my submission page 8. So what I want to say real quickly is, really, you're not doing this yet. This is not what you're doing. I just want to make sure you understand what's going on with this. We'll go over this again next week. This is what you're doing. You're creating one page, the back page, for me, and you're submitting it. That's what you're doing this week. That is your assignment for the week. And then the other thing that you're going to do, real quickly, let me go and find it. Week 3, in the, I think it's in the Wednesday work, is my JPEG file. So let's open that up. There's my JPEG file, okay? Looks pretty awful when it comes up like this because I think it's enlarging it some. But that's your assessment. And of course, your assignment is this guy right there. Okay?
Yep.
There you go. All right. So I'm going to end with that right now. I'm going to open this thing up and let me close this thing and let me start with the reviews. All right. I'm going to do you first because you're here. And then I'm going to go. It's now 12:19. I'm going to do as many as I can until we reach the end of the class today. And then I will do some more next week. Let's see here. File. Open. And let's go to DES-243. Let's go to, where would it be? Week 3. Critique. Here we go. And you are Jessica. You see you there anywhere?
Yep. Top one, West.
There you go. Okay. So, all right. So let me go back. So here's your folder.
Yep.
Here is your packaged file. So I don't know how much you know about this, but once again, I don't see any fonts in there. Okay, so something's not right. Let me see. Links? Okay. We may have a problem right off the bat. InDesign markup, InDesign document. Let's try opening this and see what we get. Document contains links to sources that have been modified. Let's update the links and see what happens. All right, let's go. Let's see. Checking. See what happens. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. No errors. Okay, so no errors. You're good. You're good to go.
Okay.
So I'm not exactly sure why that is, but you're good to go. All right. Well, let's just do a very quick critique of this. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I did give you a critique. I did give you several, didn't I? Critiques.
Yes. Yes. Right. Leading was one of them.
Yeah.
And I did find a few that I don't know what happened, but it was like 10 points and then to 14. And then this on page 3, 4, 5, and 6 were some of the font was weird. I don't know what happened. So I changed that all up. I fixed my widow on one page. And I changed the font because Gotham was not working for me, right? So
you don't have to use those fonts. You can do whatever you want.
I changed it to a different. Sangil is what I used.
That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. That's fine. You did not have to use Gothic or Gotham. You didn't have to use any font. You could use whatever you wanted. Okay. Let me do this. Let me just quickly go to the view menu and let me put the screen mode into preview. Okay. So now we get a better sense of the overall layout of this thing, and we can see how we like it. So I do like it. I think so far I'm seeing this looks very clean and very well done. It actually works pretty good. You do have a couple of lines here. I'm not exactly sure why you did that. Is there a reason you did that? Is there some fitting problem on the back?
Yeah, yes. It was, for some reason, it would give me I think it was my headline, or not sub-headline, and it would just make it right there. So I had to move it up just a little bit, and I was trying to get it to work right, but I think I fixed it on my other one.
Yeah. So well, here's the deal. Here's the deal. If this were to happen for some reason and you were actually going to do this way, what I would simply do is I would simply move that up. Look, move it up like that.
Oh, okay.
See how much better that looks?
Oh, yes, very much.
That's what I would do. I would move this thing up, and that would help a little bit to balance this. Okay. Now, another thing that you might want to try doing too is you might want to try doing this. See? And now you've got something that's even a little bit better. Although this having two lines like that's kind of risky, so maybe not.
Yeah, I trust me. I've been working on it the last, last week I worked on it all week to make sure that there was no whittle lines, there was no but for some reason one piece just did not want to work out right.
All right. Well, again, I mean, generally speaking, that page looks pretty good. This thing here, you know, if anything,
I gotta fix that. Yes.
I might move it up a little bit. Control Z. I might move that up a little bit. There you go. And I don't know. It's probably pretty good. It's probably pretty good. I would just maybe move it up a little bit like that. That looks pretty good. This page looks pretty good. I like your rags generally. I think you did pretty well with that. This image right here. Let's see what your layers are doing here. So you do have layers, right?
Yes.
You don't have everything on the right layer though. You got this guy here. That's on the image layer. That should probably be on the background layer. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I think. Let me see. Hold on. Is that now on the image layer? Let me see. I don't know whether that's my, I'm not sure that that's my, okay, so it is. Then what you might want to do is this. You might want to just select this. Let me lock these layers. Maybe what you might want to do is just click on that guy, and you might want to just move that down a touch.
Okay.
See, because see what's happening is up in here, it's kind of close. So you move it down a little bit, and now you've got a slightly better positioning for that. See what I'm saying?
Yep.
But your rag looks pretty good, and I like the spacing involved. I like the idea of your spacing that you have in here, and you've got good formatting overall. You've got your November here, and you got this here. Everything looks pretty good like that on that page. So let's keep moving on. This one obviously has been through several iterations of critiquing with me, correct?
Yes.
About 2?
Yes.
So yeah, so you actually had no trouble with what I was telling you?
Yeah, I had no.
Was I fair and clear?
Yes.
Good. That's what I want to hear. All right, so now let's go to spread 4 and 5. So spread 4 and 5 looks pretty good, except I suspect that what you've done here is you've cut off that. Yeah, you see, you've cut that off a little bit. See what I'm doing?
Yep. I don't know what I did.
No, it's all right. All it is the text frame's been cut off slightly. That's all. And I just basically open the text frame up. It doesn't change anything because you have that nice device that you used. Did you like that? Was that a cool thing?
Oh, yes.
How to silhouette this thing?
Yes, it was a lot easier.
Yeah, and I got to tell you something. You did an excellent job with this. The only problem I have is your one headline right here is a bit of a train wreck. That's the only thing.
Yes, that.
Oh, no, right here. See right there.
Yeah, I already switched I already switched that out.
Well, you can fix this by just doing this. Let me see if I can just grab that and just do this. See? And now you got cleaning herbs right up there. See how easy it is to fix some of this stuff? Some of this stuff is just not hard to do. And as a matter of fact, look what happened here. By making that tiny little adjustment, and maybe here, let me see if I can do something here. Yeah, see, there you go. Look at that. I've even actually improved this slightly.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see that.
Yeah. Now this guy here, this example job, there's a bit of a problem with that. But maybe what you could do is you could take this thing here. Let me zoom in on this. I'll show you how you can maybe fix that head, the subhead. The direct selection tool. Click on this. Hold the shift key down. Click on this, and click on this, and start moving them over. Look. You see what I'm doing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm moving that over until it aligns. Look at that.
Yeah, that looks a whole lot better now.
See? So, I mean, what it comes down to is, let's go view, bit page and window. I know what you're doing. This is the great thing about it. I know what you're doing. You did an entirely beautiful job on this. You have an issue here. There's another issue right here, okay? And you can fix that too by just getting your direct selection tool and clicking on this thing and coming in here, and let's see what we're going to do with this. I am going to zoom in on this one again, and I am going to direct select some of these guys. Let me direct select some of these guys here, see if I can get that to go away. All right, let's see if I can do this. Get that to go away too. Because, oh, I missed one. Haha, there we go. I missed one. There we go. Now we go down. Let's see. Okay, so now I just want this one. All right, hold on. Let me get that one right there. maybe it's this second one up here. There's two. There seems to be two of these damn things. I don't know why that is.
You know, I had that same problem, so I don't know why that was doing that.
There we go. Did you see what happened? Just that little tiny move that added over?
Oh, yes, yes.
That's all it is. Now, you still got a problem here. So go to View menu. Let's fit page and window. And what I would do with that, right there's the problem. What I would do is I would drag that line down one line. And you see what that did? That wrapped this whole thing, moved it up there. So the key to this thing is literally taking your time and thinking the process through.
Yes.
That's all there is to it. You have one other problem right here, which you may or may not have correct, the spacing.
Yes.
Did you correct that?
Yes.
So what I would do with this literally is I would select this type and I would go to the type menu, and I would go to tabs, bring up my tabs panel, and what I would do is I would take this, I'd leave that alone, I think. I would take this guy right here and I'd move this guy over like that. See?
Oh, okay.
Or what I could do is actually bring this guy over like that, bring it over to there, and then I would take this guy and I would bring that guy back up to it. Okay? And then I would take this one here and remove it, and then I would place one like that. See how I placed it?
Oh, yes.
And then I'd bring this thing over until it was right about there. And now if you take a look at that, see how beautiful that looks?
Yes, yes. Now it looks a lot better.
So much better. Not only that, but there's also a tiny bit of inset there so that it gives real emphasis to that. Go to View, Fit Page and Window. So, I mean, you can see by just doing a couple of tiny little tweaks on this spread, we've made it look even better. Now, this is back. We were back to the same issue again. So what you would do literally is go back in there and play around with that rag, and that would move that over. That would fix that issue. Okay?
Yes.
All right. So I'm not going to bother doing that because you already saw me do that. Let's move on to the next spread. We're at 4 and 5, 6 and 7. Okay, so here's where you run into a problem. You need to fill this. You need something to fill.
I already fixed that, and it goes all the way. Oh,
right. Well, I'm saying since this is here, I'm just saying you would do that, and you probably do that by just making a big picture. One big picture.
That's what I did. I made a big picture, and it looks a lot better.
This looks okay over here. I don't have a real problem with it. If you want to make that space go a little bit deeper, what you would do is you would increase the depth of these three pictures. I'd select them like a group. Watch. I'd select them like a group and go Object Group. Group. And then what I would do is I would drag the pictures down to about there. And, of course, that one didn't get in part of my group. I missed one of them. Let me grab it, see if I can do it. Well, I'm not going to bother. You get the idea. See how they work? Right.
Yeah.
And all you're going to do is you're going to select your columns, all three of your columns, and you're just going to move the columns down, move them down until they get to a lower position like this. Okay? If this one column is a little bit too much, what you're going to do is this. You're just going to select that one column, and you're just going to bring it up a line. See, and it'll just re-rag, and you now see how you get a much better sense of balance. See
yes.
That? And you still don't lose. You got 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and 6. They're still all in proper place. You do the same thing with this. You'd select all this type. I'm not going to do it again because, oops, I'm not going to do it again because I just did it. Select all that type and go up to the type menu and go to tabs, and you would make your tab adjustments on them, and it would end up looking just like the other. This thing here, what you would do with that picture is, let's go to Object, Lock, and then this guy here would move down obviously as well. You'd bring that down below the photo, just about like that. Okay, and if you wanted to, you could take that first column. Well, you can't really because then it would go out of line. Yeah, you're kind of stuck. What you would do then, I guess you would select all of these things, that, and you'd maybe bring them down just a tiny bit more like that. And that page, see, now that page looks filled.
All right.
There's your critique. How did I do?
That was great. Yeah, definitely.
Does it help based on what I was giving you my instructions? Does that help based on those instructions?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's do another one. All right. Let's do another one. Let me go in. Let's go File, Open. Let's see who else we got in here. Let's go to Critique, and let's go to Deshawn. All right, so let's see. Document fonts. Oh, I don't see any document fonts. Great. Okay, and there are links. Don't see any links. Sorry, so maybe that's just the way this thing is showing. So let's go to the Sean, and let's go to the InDesign file, update links, and checking. Okay, let's go to view. Yeah, so I have a font problem with him. I think I have a font problem with him. Missing fonts. Okay, so let's see. Let's hit close. Let's see if I can solve the font problem. So let's go into week 3, and let's go into critique, and let's go into, there we go, let's go into document fonts. Okay, so let me see here. This is Adobe First. If I click on this, always use, okay, I always use this. I guess I have to go to the App Store to get this font. Minion Pro Regular. I should have Minion Pro Regular on my machine already. Install. See what I'm doing? Is already installed. I hit no. Okay. We understand what I'm doing. I'm doing this just so that you understand this. He has a font, Adobe FNT 19 IST. That I don't have, and it apparently is a LST file which I can't load. So his Minion Pro and his Times I have on my machine. That font is not going to present itself properly on my computer. So I'm going to have to work around that, okay? But what I did was by clicking on this font, if I didn't have Minion Pro, I get this, which shows me the library alphabet, right? The alphabet. And if I want, I can just click on that install button, and what it'll do is it'll install it on my machine. Then I can use that font to check his project. That's what this is all about. That's why you're doing it. Now it's the same thing with the links. There's your links. There are all your links in there. I know what his links look like because those are all his links. He did this correctly. And so did you. Now let's go back to here, and let's go in and let's go to view. Let me go to here and let me see. Let's go to 2.3, and let's go view, fit, spread in window. Let me close that up, and let's go to view. Let's go to display mode, screen mode, preview. Okay, so there we have it. Yeah, and I'm looking at this generally. Now, the problem that I had with him was this. I really don't like that little block of copy there. I kind of know why he did it, because he's trying to graphically make this thing wrap around this. I don't like it. I don't think it's a good solution. I told him that. Now, I don't know whether he changed it or not, but I would much rather see him get rid of this, okay, and make this thing a little bit bigger, like that, see? And then go object fitting, fit content proportionately, see? I'd much rather see something like this than to have that little thing up there. This, to me, looks a whole lot better, and I'd move it up a little bit, okay? And then this copy wouldn't be up in that frame. It would be, you know, running through the process here. That's what I would rather see. The other thing is a very small detail. That's too close. It should come down, okay? This looks okay, except that what you have is you have a text frame. This guy here could be made smaller, okay? So you make that smaller and click on him and move him down. See how easy it is to make the adjustments that I'm making here?
Yeah.
They're very easy adjustments to make. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up a little bit and get rid of that. And then what I'm going to do is go to the object menu and go to text frame options. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to go text inset just like that. Okay? And I'm going to go left and right, and that might do it. There we go. See, that looks a little bit better. He had it too close to the edge. See, I just did a little text inset there to fix it. He also has too much space on this. That should be, see, 30. It should be tighter. I don't know whether he has these set as paragraph styles. I don't want to mess it up, so I'm just going to point it out. There are a couple of things that I did. This goes away. The text, that text goes into this text here. This actually all looks pretty good to me. I don't have a problem with it. I adjusted the size of that frame. If you don't like that, if you like that pull quote, if you don't like the pull quote the way it's kind of like bigger than the picture, you can drag that over until the picture is the same size as pull quote. That looks pretty good. This should be tighter, okay? This could maybe be a little tiny bit bigger. Oops, geez. This subhead could probably be a little bit larger, okay? A little bit bigger. Maybe it's 12 point. This is 10 point. This could probably be like maybe 14 point, okay? This should be tighter. The leading should be tighter. And again, I don't know whether, let me see if he's got paragraph styles. He doesn't have his styles out. Here they are. No, that's a basic paragraph. So let's see, if I do this, let's go to 25, 20, 29, 8, 27, 26, 25. All right, and then this, there we go. And then this guy here, I would just go in and I would make this 14. That's probably a little bit better. See that? And I might even go in and I might even set these things as bold. This may not, okay, so bold. Yeah, we do have it. I'm not even sure I can do that. I don't think I have that font. Semi-bold. Yeah, see, I don't have the font, so that's not going to work for me. But I would just basically change that slightly. Little tweaks, really, little tweaks. If you get this out all together, I want you to get the impact. There's the impact of this thing, okay? That's how this thing looks. And again, if you want, see the type kit, I don't close. I don't have the fonts. This thing here, if you want, you can drag that open a little bit. Look at that, okay? Nice and balanced. Nice and balanced. This works pretty good. Let's go to the next spread real quick. Whoops, wrong one. Let's go to the next spread real quick. This guy here. What I like about this, what I like that he did, was I like these vertical pictures. I actually think that's a very clever way to work. Yeah, I like it. Another option would be to maybe have this one here and have this one here and have that copy over there. I'm not going to do it for him, but he could actually have the pictures more to the center and the copy on either outer side. The problem with this is the same problem as it was before. Object, text frame options. Before I do it, just know that it's too close to the edges. See? Are you there, Jessica?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to link this, and I'm just going to do the inset spacing. See how I did that? Now, yeah. Of course, I now have overset text. I'm going to hit OK. I now have overset text in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make that a little bit bigger to get that text in there, and that re-ragged the copy a little bit, but I don't really think it hurt too much. But you can see now it's a little bit better. See how it's a little bit better, not so close? And I might even do a little bit more. I might even go Object, Text Frame Options, and I may actually now break the link, and I may go top a little bit more and a little bit more on the bottom. Oh, I went the wrong way. There we go. That's good. And then hit OK. And then again, you know, because I have overset text, I'm going to just open this a slight bit, moving that around. I might be causing problems somewhere else, but can you see how much better that looks?
Yeah, it looks a lot better.
Right. So actually the rest of this looks pretty good. I don't see any page numbering across the bottom here. That's a problem. You have to put in your page numbering. You know what I mean? You have to have your master items, and I'm not sure you have any master items. I'll tell you in a second. You do not. There's no master items. So this is incomplete. You need to get the master items in there. Cancel. All right. Let's go to this one here. We still look pretty good here. We still look pretty good. I do have that up there, and he's got these frames. I don't know why he's got these boxes like this. They all should be one box. I don't know why he's doing this. I'm totally confused by why he's doing this. This should all be one box, and you should have text wrapping on this. See what I'm saying? That's a box. That's a box. That's a box. And I don't know whether they're linked or they should really be. Let me see if they are. See, they're not. See, this is the overset text. It's not correct. You got to fix this. These should all be one complete text box. These are a bunch of different text boxes, and you have copy in there. And it's not the right way to do it. That's not the right way to do it. You gotta fix this. And then of course there's 8. So, you know, it looks pretty good, but there's problems with it in that you've got a bunch of text frames that you're not really getting these, like for instance right there, see there's overset text. I don't know whether that text right there matches up with that text right there. if you have a pull down ladder or stair, move forward after considering the following. So it doesn't. You see what I mean? That doesn't follow that. There's something else down here that should be linking up into that box. See what I'm saying? It's not working. It's not working. You got to fix this. These should be one big frame. And you should have your copy flowing from page to, or from frame on page to frame on page to frame on page as you go through your pages. And these things here have no text wrap on them. See what I'm saying? No text wrap.
Yeah.
So there, it's wrong. This should be doing this because of the text wrapping. So that needs to be fixed. Okay. Let me just make a note of this because I'll send them an email. And all right. I hope he watches this because he needs to see this and he needs to fix it. All right. So let's go and let's do one more. We have 45. We have enough time to do at least one more. So let's go File, Open, and let's go in and let's find one more. Let's go to Monica. Let's open Monica's and let's see what kind of torture awaits me. Update links. All right, there we go. Let's go to View. Whoops, wait a minute. There we go. Okay. Oh, missing fonts again. Jeez, crap. Okay, close. All right, so this is a problem, but I can't do much about it. Let's go to the View menu and let's go to Screen Mode Preview. Here we go. There's our first spreads. There are 2 pages. All right, so here is our pages. That looks okay. This looks okay. This looks okay. This should be bigger. I don't know whether you're actually using paragraph styles or anything. You do have a pull quote style. So, and it's got a plus on it. So I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. There we go. Something along the lines of that would be a little bit better. And then you can move it down a little bit. See? Whoop, I went too far with it. There we go. All right, let me see here. Go to text frame options, object, text frame options, and what we're going to do is we're going to center it. Let's see if that works. Hit OK. It didn't. I didn't get anywhere with it. All right, now that's better. There we go. Okay, so hopefully now that looks a little bit better. And also you notice that this thing is like jammed right up against the edge here. If you click on this, you can go back to the object menu and go to text frame options again, and you can set your inset spacing, break the link so you're only working on one, and on the left-hand side, you can put a little bit, see, look, I'm moving it over, hit OK. See, it moved that over. See that? That looks really good now, all right? This is pretty good, but again, there's an awful lot of space in around that. So I don't know, you might want to actually, if you're going to do this, you might want to actually find a larger sentence to put in there. That might be the way to go. But I like your headline. Your byline looks good. This all looks pretty good. I see errors here. I don't know what those errors are, so you'd have to check this. I'm not crazy about doing this. I'm not crazy about it. If you're going to do that, you need to do it like smaller. You need to do it like maybe like that. You see what I mean? That would be a little bit more acceptable, than doing that real tight thing, because I don't like the look of it. Also, I'm not exactly sure why there's that. That looks more, to me, that looks better. See what I'm saying? Instead of having that thing short like that. So I'm not exactly sure how I'm affecting these spreads. I'm going to be seeing that in a minute. Let's see. So far we're looking all right. I mean, this guy here probably is too deep. I'd bring it up a little bit. There we go. That's a little bit better. And this frame here I'd bring down a little bit because, you got that one there. See, and you want to try to balance them somewhat. That's better. Might even go down a little bit more. That's good. That'll work. This is here. This thing here, what I would do with this is I would probably, first of all, I think what I would do is I'd make the picture a little bit bigger. See if I could do that. Is it locked? Hold on. Let me see. Yeah, it is. Let me background. Click on that. Click on it. Hold on. Click on this guy. There we go. Okay, and now let's see if I can hold the Shift key and the Alt key. Bring this up a little bit like that. There we go. I didn't mean to do that. Hit it, undo, resize item. So you have, I'm not sure. I'm trying to get that picture in the middle, and I don't seem to be getting it. I seem to be getting the frame for some reason. Yeah, see, that's not what I want. I don't want that. I want the. All right. Well, anyway, I don't want the frame to get bigger. I want the image inside the frame to get a little bit bigger. And you might actually, yes, you can't really do much more with that. What I would do with this, maybe to get this looking better, I would make the picture of the heart bigger, and I would do my trick with the pen tool to create a frame around it. That would work better on this. And then this actually looks okay. This begins to look okay. All right. This looks like, you know, you're running a little bit short. So, you know, maybe if you make that picture, if you make that outline around here, you could then make that picture bigger, and then you would not have all this out here cutting off. And see, like this, if you take this text wrap, let's go to no text wrap. What do you have the text wrap on? Let me see. Let me see here. That is my. What do you have the text wrap on? Oh, you have the text wrap. Oh, let's see. Yeah, I'm confused by what you have the text wrap on here. I don't know what they have the text wrap on. You have the text. Oh, there we go. Okay, so you see how I made that bigger? There.
Yeah.
I made that bigger. Now, what I would recommend you do to solve this problem would be to, instead of having this thing wrapping around that, all right, because it must wrap around something. Let me see. Yeah, it appears to. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe it doesn't. It doesn't wrap around anything. That's what the problem is. It's not really text wrapping. See that? It's not text wrapping. If you text wrap it, you get that. Okay, so there's your text wrap. All right, so I would do this. If you're going to try that, I would do this. I would text wrap it that way. And then what I would do, because again, you don't want those narrow columns. So, and see, there's right there, you got a problem with that. You got a one-line widow up there. So I would make this frame a little bit bigger to get rid of that widow. And then what I would do is I would bring this out and bring that down. And then if you want, you could maybe find one other small picture to put in here, and that would bring that down to that page there. And let's see, let's go to your last page, last spread, which is this. Yeah, see, you've got short here as well. So what I'm thinking to solve this is that, go back to here, go back to this, and let's see, this guy here, bring this all the way down. Okay, so now you got balanced on that page. This looks better. This could come down just a touch, like that. That's good. And then go to this spread right here. Now you've got this problem here, but what you might do is you might actually just make this big. See? Make this thing big like that and move it up. Watch what happens. See what happens? Your page fills. Give me a second to get that up there. There we go. And now what I'm going to do is go Object Fitting, fit content proportionately, and you got a better look. How's that? Something
That looks a lot better.
Yeah, something like that. So it's a slightly better look. It fills that a little bit better. This page here looks all right. I basically have no problem with that. It looks like it's good, except that you have some overset text there. Okay, I don't know how much overset text you have. Okay, so you have, I think they're not a lot. What you can do is you can just simply do this. You can simply crop that and then just move all this stuff up. See? Move it up. And then you can just readjust your columns once I get it up there. You got to make sure that these columns are sitting in the same position across from each other. Okay, now when I move these up, I've lost my continued from. You're going to have to move that thing up, okay, out of the way like that. Okay, and maybe what you're going to do is, let me see my picture. I'm going to actually make that picture, crop it maybe even a little bit smaller. Crop that just a bit smaller. And then what I'll do is I'll select the picture, and I really can't. It's right on the money, isn't it? Yeah, so I guess you're kind of stuck with that like that, if that's the picture you're going to use. Then what you're going to do is you're going to just re-rag this, see? And now you're coming out with something that's a little bit more even, like that maybe. And then, of course, here, I think maybe your bottoms are a little bit low. So what you could do is you can move them up a line, like that, and move that up a line, okay? And maybe move that down one. There we go. And that begins to look a little bit better. How's that?
Yeah.
Did I confuse you?
Oh, no. It looks good.
So you're just basically working through this a little bit, trying to make it visually. It's actually a pretty good job overall. So that's what I would do with that. And I'm going to go on to, well, I don't know. I don't think I have enough time. Let me look at one more. I'll open. Let me just quickly look at one more. I don't know whether I have time to really critique it, but we'll take a look at one more. Let's open it up and see what we get real quickly. Update links, because we got 55. Okay. Oh, this one is great. This one I really liked. I like this one. So I'm going to open this up. I don't think I have an awful lot to tell this person because I think she did a really good job. Holy mackerel, what's going on here? What is happening? Oh, my God. What is going on? 2 and 3. Okay, here we go. So Remodeler Magazine. I like this. I like the fact that she's doing these frame type of things. Only thing I would say to you is that you might want to make these frames a little bit thicker. You know what I mean? You might want to make them just a tiny bit thicker, make more of them, or maybe make one side thicker, one side thicker. You know what I mean? Maybe one side thicker and one side thinner. I like the fact that she's using shapes and she's ragging text around the shapes. I hope she's linked these text boxes, though. I'm not sure she did. She's even got some inset spacing here. I like the graphics that she's developing. I like the way she's putting pictures in. I think this is an actually pretty nice and pretty professional looking job she did here. I mean, even this is so cool, just the fact that she's doing this stuff. And, you know, she's got nice pictures. She's got her copy placed fairly well. She's using nice areas for color copy. She's doing a lot of really good stuff here. This is actually a pretty good, and I don't see any major flaws. I even like the background use of these little clouds. Overall, very nice. Okay. Yeah, see, again, the clouds in here. It's almost like smoke coming out of the chimney, and then you got this picture here. It's just very nice. Maybe this picture might come down a little bit. I don't know. Might want to show his face. I don't know whether cutting it off at his face. Maybe something along the lines of this is a little bit better. You know, that's the only thing I would say. It's a small detail, but something like that might be a little bit better. I like the little pictures here. Remember, we're looking at this thing zoomed out, so these pictures are small, but when you look at them larger, they would be pretty appropriate. They're pretty nice. Spacing all looks fairly good, and what she's doing looks good. And I like the fact that there are some areas where she's worked on some copy that sort of goes beyond. But what I would recommend that you do, if you're going to do that where the copy goes beyond like that, I would recommend you increase the size of it. The reason I say that is because this is a pretty good copy width, for this size. This is not. So you would probably try to treat this a little more like a pull quote, okay? And you might do the same thing with this. You might actually make that bigger, not smaller, because that's way too wide a margin for that small size type. So consider that as possible ways of modifying this. And let's see, that's it. That's it. So yeah, good job. I really like this. What do you think, Jessica? You like that?
Yeah.
I think she did a great job. All right, so I got some in. Let's see. Let's go file open again, and let's go back up. So I got through 1, 2, 3, 4. That leaves me with 1, 2, 3, 4 for next week. So I will be doing critiques next week on these guys. I want to thank everybody for submitting them to me. Jessica, thank you for coming. I enjoyed having you here. And you have any final questions or thoughts you want to?
Nope, I think I'm good.
Okay. So what do you have to do now? Are you caught up?
I'm working on redoing a couple of things on my, to get that widowed out of there.
Okay.
And the picture and move that, get, so it's fully there.
Yeah.
On the coriander.
Okay. So little tweaks. Actually, it looked pretty good what I saw. So you're pretty much along. You think you'll have any trouble with these 2 assignments this week?
No, I don't think so.
So you're not really behind. You're pretty much caught up?
Yep, I'm caught up now.
Excellent. Okay, well, you know what? It's 12:59. I have no more for you. If you have anything for me, now's the time. If not, you have a good rest of the week. Just for the class, I am in Blackboard tomorrow night from 7 o'clock until 11 o'clock Mountain Time. Friday from 9 o'clock until 12 o'clock Mountain Time. And, of course, Saturday night from 7 o'clock until 12 o'clock Mountain Time if you need any help. And there's also DJ, and her information, which I haven't memorized, is in the announcements. If you need help, you can seek her out or you can see me. Okay?
Okay.
I'm good. I'm done. Thank you for coming, and I hope you come next week, Jessica.
Yep. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.